We are currently implementing an accelerated road maintenance and rehabilitation program that will then address the extensive damage caused by the recent rain season on our roads. So this actually includes patching of potholes, resealing them of critical road segments, as well as in some cases where we need to do a full road reconstruction where structural failure has actually occurred. So internally, we are busy mobilizing our resources, also procuring the external contractors that are being engaged to fast-track the repair across the city. Because remember, even with this type of emergency, we still need to follow the procurement procedures as they are. So we are prioritizing those procurements and also allocation of the necessary resources and equipment to sustain continuous road work. What I want to mention is that while we are still busy trying to repair the potholes with the temporary solution and not actually providing permanent solution, is that it's still raining. So we don't know whether if we go with our routine and start repairing them permanently and then it rains again. That is actually the worry. Now we have to find a better way to kind of temporarily fix them so that you are able to move freely while we then consider or continue with the more permanent solution as the rain season subsides.
Yeah. So while the city is busy with considerations of permanently repairing these roads, how would you describe the road conditions compared to previous rainy seasons? And would you attribute this to the extent of the rain received this past rainy season or the material used for the roads?
I think it's fair to say that the road damage experienced this season or this year is notably very severe compared to the previous years. So while the material fatigue and obviously road age also do contribute, the primarily factor has actually been the unusual intensity and obviously the duration of the rainfall. So the rainfall has been consistent for the past few months, and that actually has really contributed. So many roads were exposed to prolonged water logging, which significantly undermines the structural integrity of the road surface. So the city is also conducting an internal review to assess the long-term durability of existing road surfacing materials and construction standards. But really this year alone, because as you can see, it's not just Windhoek. I think most parts of Namibia are equally affected. And if you have seen the roads that are going through or cross-cutting Namibia, we'll see even those main roads that they somehow formed potholes and they were actually fixed. So we are not alone in this, but that does not make it easy. So we still have to do the best we can do to make sure that we improve on your mobility.
Yeah. So you have highlighted the consistency of the rain, which is expected to continue as we speak. There are more or less 4 months before the next rainy season. How soon do we expect roads to be fully rehabilitated?
Well, given the scale of the damage and the budgetary constraints, because we are looking at about over 300 million actually. If we look at the whole holistic repair that is required. But as we said, for potholes alone, we are looking at about 15 million. So with those considerations in mind, that's now the scale of the damage, the budgetary constraints, a full rehabilitation of all affected roads may not definitely be completed before the next rainy season. That is given. And also looking at the fact that procurement is a process and it's not something that you can easily put in place. However, we are actually prioritizing those critical high traffic routes, and these are expected to be repaired within the next 2 to 3 months to catch up before the next rainy season is upon us. So we are working systematically to really ensure that the most dangerous and obviously disruptive areas are addressed as a matter of agency, with the remainder of the network being actually faced or being worked on in phases based on severity and obviously available resources.
Yeah. So we have seen some volunteers, trying to assist in fixing some of the potholes, especially the areas of Katutura, volunteering themselves to fix some of these potholes. How does this come in handy for the city of Windhoek? And do you welcome such assistance from community members?
While this is actually being done in good faith, we do appreciate that our members of our community are not just saying it's not our responsibility, can City of Windhoek just do the work, but they are actually, it's the intentions. I think the intention is pure and it's a good intention. However, we are very concerned about this because, remember, we are talking about road infrastructure. It requires certain standards to be met. It also means these people need to be safe when they are busy doing what they are doing on the road. And some of them, if not most of them are young people, kids that were actually supposed to be in school. And the concern was actually raised to say, when we let these people do what they want, although we did not give them permission, it's like they are also leaving school and thinking, because on the road there seems to be money. So when they are working on the roads and they get a $20 here, $20 there, the others are also hearing and seeing this and thought, why can I not go there also and make some back? So it has a lot of implications, and I think as a society we need to help these people better. We need to look at their safety. We also need to look at the standards. We need to look at also what is being neglected when they are on the roads. And those that are not kids, again, is a concern of safety and the standards, because we are not short of manpower per se. What we have been waiting for is actually for the rain to calm down a bit for us to start working on it. Also, the fact that we are using temporary repair just to make sure that we can get along while the rainy season comes to an end, and then we can employ a more permanent solution.
Now, maybe lastly, while the city is busy processing the full-scale rehabilitation of these, damaged roads, which would be your priority areas concerning this?
Priority is actually being given to ulterior roads, public transport routes, emergency access roads, and areas with higher vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Among these are actually the section of Independence Avenue, Monte Cristo Road, St. Neoma Drive, as well as Frolens Nightingale Street, among others. But those are not the only ones. We are just actually looking at the major ones. And when you look at the major ones, as you might have driven in those roads, you have seen most of the potholes are actually fixed. But we are not ending there. Then we start moving into the access roads towards, up to your streets. So we are there. A lot of people have seen our teams busy in their neighborhood, and that is actually the spirit, is for us to get there in places. So the city uses quite a severity-based matrix that will determine the agency and the updates on the rehabilitation progress. That will be then will definitely communicated regularly in terms of public notice to say we are busy on these roads, like what we did at the end of March. We're communicating the roads that we are actually busy with.
In the meantime, what message do you have to all road users during this time while they are waiting for a fully fledged reparation of the roads?
Thank you so much for an opportunity to keep our residents informed. We are not denying the impact. We are equally affected. So this is really a highlight that how widespread the impact is, because even myself, I hit those potholes now and then, but it also requires us to be extra cautious when we are driving on our roads, just to make sure that you can see the wheels of the car in front of you, the behind the wheels of the car in front of you. Then that then shows there's a better following distance between the two of you. Even if there's a pothole that the other person has avoided, you can also see it and you'll be able to make a plan. And we must also just take extra precaution, all of us, because if you see the other car is almost driving towards it, because they are either, trying to avoid the pothole and so on, and you don't need to also speed so that you end up crashing on each other. But we are doing our best. The situation is actually is far from ideal. We continue to drive our commitment to improve urban mobility and ensure safe roads for everyone.